Welcome to our community. Susie Thomas with you this morning. Very happy to welcome Beverly Perch from the New Philadelphia. We're talking about Tuscarawas and Carroll counties, big brothers and big sisters. Good morning.
Good morning.
Beverly, first of all, how are you doing? I should start all of these chats this way. It's been a trying time, and personally, how are you getting through it?
We're doing quite well, actually. You're right. It's definitely been a trying time, and, every day is different, and there's always a curveball, but we're staying on our feet and making sure that no matter what the curveball is, we're still able to serve the children.
Mm-hmm. Well, and that's the main thing. So it's odd, though, because we're at a time when people are supposed to be distancing themselves, and you actually are in the business of getting people together.
Absolutely.
So how do we make that happen safely?
Well, actually, as soon as schools started shutting down, our first problem were our school-based programs because they were taking place at the school setting. So we knew that our high school mentors were not going to be able to meet with their littles, so we instantly started devising a plan, and we developed a pen pal program so that the bigs could still stay connected with their littles. And with our community-based programs, those are a little bit different, and the screening process for the volunteers are different because they're not in high school. So those matches were able to continue to meet virtually, and we gave them a lot of suggestions and ideas and different virtual activities that they could do together, as well as we've been going around to each of the families' homes, and we've taken them all different goodie bags and hygiene products, left them little notes letting them know that even though we weren't seeing them in person, that we were there for them and thinking of them.
Oh, that's so nice. I want to go back to this pen pal idea because I think if there's a lost art in our culture right now, it's writing. Kids text pretty well, but to actually, are you talking about a pen pal with actual pen and paper and
Yes,
stamps
we are.
and putting it in the mail and
Yep.
about as low tech as it gets? But that
Our
is
office has
amazing.
been acting as the post office. So when a big wants to send a letter to a little, or if a little is sending a letter to the big, we're having them send them right here to the office, and we screen the letters beforehand, and then we send it on to the intended recipient. And we have sent out over 200 letters that have gone between bigs and littles that started actively participating in that pen pal program. And it's really neat to see what they're writing back and forth to each other, and some have even been sending crafts back and forth to each other that one will do a piece of it and then send it on to their little to finish up. And it's really been cool and uplifting.
What kind of feedback are you getting from the bigs and the littles?
Well, everybody wants to see each other for sure, but they were extremely happy that they could at least connect, even if it's just writing a letter, to check in and make sure everybody's doing okay and make sure that, people are staying safe and healthy and know that we're all thinking of them.
Well, I think English teachers all around the community are saluting you because that is giving all these young people an opportunity to do writing assignments all through the summer without realizing it. Pretty fun. That was a genius idea. Talk to me about the virtual activities. I know we've all kind of been Zoomed meeting out, but
yes, absolutely. So there's definitely been a lot of Zoom communication. Our bigs and littles like to Skype each other. We put out, it was a virtual bingo to where the bigs and littles could do different activities together, that they had to do something from home, and then they'd send the picture to the other one. And whoever got the first bingo, we were sending out pizza parties to both the big and the little's homes so that they could still connect over Skype and then have their pizza parties somewhat together, even if they weren't in the same settings.
or out of the same box.
Right, exactly. And there are honestly a lot of different websites and things out there where they can connect with different virtual games, virtual board games that they have been doing. So they've really been creative with the resources that are out there for them to still stay, interacted, even though they're not seeing each other.
In a normal world, we would be talking about trying to recruit some more bigs for the littles. Are we still trying to do that?
We are. Our office on June 1st started allowing in-person meetings for our community-based matches. And of course, we're going by all the CDC guidelines and recommending that they're wearing masks and doing outdoor activities while they're remaining 6 feet apart, but at least they're allowed to see each other now. So, yes, we are still doing those same match meetings and trying to get some of these kids off the waiting list.
Yes, yes. Talk to me about what an activity would look like if you're talking about two people wearing masks, being 6 feet apart from each other, outdoors, going to a park, or I mean,
We've
you
had
can't
some that
play
are going to
basketball or
parks,
anything like
right.
that.
We've had some that are going to parks, others, that there are a few different pools that are open, so we've had some that have been doing some swimming activities,
Yeah.
but when matches are matched for over a 3-month period, as long as that volunteer has had a home inspection done, then they can take the little to their home. So a lot of them have done activities at the house, bonfires outside,
Nice.
and things to that nature.
Wow. So what's required of someone to become a big?
We ask that a volunteer spends a minimum of 4 hours a month with their little. So the commitment is not as big as a lot of people think,
Yeah.
and that can go based on your schedule as well as the little. So if there's one day a month that works for you, you can do all 4 hours in that one day. You can break it up in maybe an hour each week. It really depends on the big schedule and the little schedule.
And you're signing up for what length of time?
We ask for an 18-month commitment out of the volunteers.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah.
And then they can re-up if they...
They can, absolutely. We have matches, honestly, that we had just had one that graduated that's been with his big since he was 7. We have other matches that are 5, 6, 7 years long. So a lot of times, once that 18 months is up, that doesn't mean that the relationship ends. That is just our minimum requirement for staying involved with that child. But majority of the time, they continue on. And even after they graduate or age out of our program, they still stay connected with their bigs. It becomes a lifelong relationship.
Oh, yeah, I would think. I would think that they would become such good friends and mentorship-wise even.
Right.
As you go from stage to stage. Do you find some of your littles becoming bigs then?
Absolutely, especially in our school-based program, even ones that are still littles, even though they're in high school, they saw the benefit of it as they were younger and go to school districts where we have those school-based programs going on, and they become bigs while they're still a little.
Oh, wow. Well, it's almost like you have some grand bigs then.
We do. And honestly, they're some of the best bigs that you get because they really understand the importance and how it affected their life, so they understand how important it is to just, spend a little bit of a time with the child. I would say there's not a kid out there that couldn't use a good role model.
Well, exactly. Why is this so important, Beverly?
I think it's important because the kids are our future of our community, and we need to invest our time and our energy into what that future is going to look like. And the kids is where it's at.
Are you seeing things happen in families? Where is the American family these days that that having a big brother or big sister has been so vitally important?
I'll tell you, sometimes I think the community has a misconception when it comes to the families and children that we serve.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes they think they're all from single-parent backgrounds or don't have a very good childhood, and that's not true for the entire demographic of who we're serving. We have a lot of different backgrounds that kids are coming from that are coming from two-parent households, or maybe it is just mom or just dad. We also have a lot of kids that are living with an aunt or an uncle or possibly a grandparent.
Yes.
So, they come from all different walks of life, different
Socioeconomic?
Yep, exactly.
Because that was my next question.
Yeah. That even varies quite a bit within our program as well.
I think that you have just blasted the misconception out of the water here, because I think people do consider big brothers and big sisters primarily aimed for children maybe of lower economic background, only one parent at home doing their best to support the family but can't spend that much time with their children. Mm-hmm. That's the idea we've got. You're saying that's not necessarily the case.
Not at all. We have kids that are coming from all different walks of life, and some of our littles, they just need a little help with self-confidence, or maybe, mom and dad both work and they have 3 kids, so that individual time sometimes is difficult. when you have 3 kids at home and you both have full-time jobs. So having that extra role model in their life is absolutely beneficial. And I know as being a parent, there's a lot of things that I can tell my kids, but if it comes from somebody else, for some reason they believe it more.
Yes. Yes. That is so true. Well, I've always thought, correct me if I'm wrong, that people from a very high income and people from lower income have the exact same problems because you have, if both parents are working and they may have this fabulous income, but the kids are by themselves making their own way,
Absolutely.
needing some guidance.
Absolutely, 100%.
Well, it's an interesting conundrum, isn't it?
It is.
So, all right. So we're talking about children needing role models. Now, I don't know anyone who would say, well, I would be a fabulous role model because I've got zero problems going on in my own life. Who are you looking for to be a big, and what are the qualifications?
For our community-based program, we ask that you're 18 years old, willing to make that four-hour-a-month commitment. But, I mean, honestly, some people that maybe didn't have the best childhood can be very, very good bigs as well because they understand maybe some of the different problems that some of our kids are going through. Or, honestly, any walk of life could be beneficial to a child. It's a different perspective for them, and it's somebody else to stand in their corner.
Time is really what children are wanting, right? They're wanting
Exactly.
our time.
It's time. It's not money. I know sometimes people will also think, well, I don't have the extra money to do stuff. You don't have to spend a dime on these kids. They're not really interested in what you're going to buy them or what extravagant places that you're going to take them to.
Yeah.
They just want somebody to spend time with them.
Yeah.
We have bigs that they're going grocery shopping, so they'll take their little along with them, and they have a blast doing things like that.
What kind of training is involved? Because sometimes the littles, I'm sure, are going to want to talk about some things that maybe a big does not feel qualified to give any advice about.
Absolutely. Whenever a person comes through the door and is interested in applying, we put them through an orientation process to really let them understand what that commitment is, what it looks like, and what we're asking of them as a mentor. Then they go through an interview process where we get to know them a little bit better and get to know their interests and personalities and what they're looking for whenever they're going to be matched with a child. And once they've gone through that, we do a training piece that lasts an hour to 2 hours long where we talk about guidelines of being a mentor and what it means to be a mentor and what that looks like, as well as child safety. We hit on child safety a lot. That's very important. That way, if any factor would come into play, they would understand how to recognize that and know what to do when reporting something to that nature. And as you're matched, you're never left alone. So you don't get a child and say, here you go, now they're yours.
Yeah.
We
Have
have
at it.
match support specialists that are constantly in contact with our parents, with our littles, and with our big. Each month they talk to all 3 of them to see, what is it that you guys are doing? How often are you meeting? Are you having any struggle areas or problems that we can help you and give you some advice or maybe some resources to help with? When we enroll a child, it's also very intentional on their end because we do that same process with them of training and the interviewing to get to know them. And we find out areas that a kid might need some help. And we develop a youth outcome development plan. And that's what that match is then based around. So when they're calling these people each month to check in, they're looking at that plan and seeing, are we seeing any improvements with self-confidence? Are we seeing any improvements with reading or, whatever it is that's on each of these kids' plans? And then we give them advice and wisdom and activities that they can do together that would help promote each one of those steps that we're trying to take in, making them a better, well-rounded individual.
So there's lots of support. You're not out there on a limb on your own, supposedly offering guidance to this moldable young person's life.
Absolutely. When you get matched with a child, you also get a support team.
Awesome. That's awesome. We're speaking with Beverly Perch from Big Brothers and Big Sisters, particularly in the New Philadelphia area, reaching Tuscarawas and Carroll counties. And we'll be back after these words. You're listening to Our Community. Welcome back to our community. Susie Thomas with you, and we're speaking with Beverly Perch from Big Brothers and Big Sisters in our area. Unfortunately, Beverly, in the times in which we live, we need to be so careful and even wary about people who want to spend a lot of one-on-one time with another young person. So what kinds of background checks and safety measures are in place to make sure that the person that you're matching up with, this young person, truly has their best interest at heart?
Sure, absolutely. When they're going through the enrollment process, they complete an application where they give us a list of references, and we contact family references, friend references, work references, as well as if they have ever worked with a youth-serving organization before or with children, we also get references from those as well. Beyond that, we do a multi-layer background check. So we do municipality checks, we do county checks, we do state checks, we also do federal checks, as well as sex offender registries, fingerprinting, and then we absolutely do Google searches, and we check their social media pages and make sure that, the individual is exactly what they're telling us they are.
Yeah. So smart. You got to be smart.
Absolutely.
So someone might be listening thinking, well, I would love for my child to become involved with this. Or, on the other hand, might be thinking, I would really love to volunteer. And if all they need is a good-hearted person willing to give it a try, I'm in. How does a person get involved? Either to get your child matched up with someone or to be able to volunteer?
For either of those scenarios, they could give us a call at our office, and our number is 330-339-6916. They can also visit our website, which is www.bigs4kids.com, and that is the number 4.
Okay.
And if you go onto the website, there is a plethora of information about the programs, as well as a portal that you can apply to be a BIG or to have your child enrolled right online.
What ages are you talking about as far as children?
For children in our community-based program, we enroll from 7 until they're 14 years old, but we serve those children until they're 18 or graduated from high school. The reason we don't enroll kids that are 15 and above is what happens a lot of times, mentors will come through the door and they're looking for a child. And a teenager is not something that they're actually looking for. So then we enroll kids that are 15, 16, 17, and we get their hopes up that they're going to get a mentor, and then they never get matched.
Oh, okay.
And that's hard.
Yeah, that's got to be heartbreaking.
It is, for sure.
So we start by just not getting their hopes up in the first place. But
Right.
if they get in while they're young, then that certainly can continue through being 15, 16, 17. And beyond.
Absolutely,
Yes.
absolutely. And those kids, that they do continue up until they're graduated from high school, so they keep that big majority of the time until they move on. And we had a big that stopped in the other day and brought in a picture because her little's in the Air Force now, and he just had graduated from his boot camp, and she brought in pictures, and they still stay connected. So it is definitely a lifelong thing whenever you end up with a relationship with these kids.
It truly can be. I remember you mentioning earlier as we were chatting about a waiting list, which I think is also heartbreaking. How many people are on that waiting list?
We have 26 kids right now waiting for a mentor.
Oh,
Yes.
okay.
And through the pandemic, for that 3-month period, our enrollments for BIGs just dropped drastically. We didn't have anybody that was coming through the doors, and we developed a campaign that we're calling Match Madness through July to try to combat that and get some additional volunteers through the door so that we can end the wait for these littles that really need a mentor. I mean, mentoring's always been important, but I think through these times and all of the isolation that these kids have been with, they need an out. They need somebody else to be able to go and talk with because, as much as this pandemic has affected us as adults, sometimes people forget about how this can be affecting kids as well.
Yes.
They haven't been in school, they haven't been around their friends, and they don't understand it, and they're just completely isolated.
Yes, and we don't yet know what the ramifications of that are going to be because there's no playbook for this.
No.
This is our first pandemic.
Absolutely.
So,
And I'm sure that we are going to see effects for a long
yeah,
time.
yeah. So, someone's heartstrings, I'm sure, are being pulled, and all they have to do then is go to Bigs for Kids, and that's a numeral 4.com. Is that all they've got to do, Beverly? And
Yes. Or they can give our office a call, like I said, and if they have any questions, please do call in. Everybody is willing to give some more information about the program and to talk them through any questions that they might have.
And that number is 330-339-6916, 330-339-6916. And you said, remind me again, how many hours
4
a
hours
month?
a month.
4 hours a month. So 1 hour a week, or a day that you get together and walk a golf course for, 4 hours. That would be it, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, there's so much. Do you find that you have more little girls or more little boys that need a big?
Definitely more little boys. Out of the 26 kids that we have waiting right now, 22 of them are boys.
And I'm going to assume, but I don't know for sure, so I'll ask. You match male with male, female with female, yes?
Yes, we do. We will also pair little boys with female mentors as well if the little boy is looking for a female mentor, or if the female mentor, sometimes we have moms that have been through, come in the program, and they've only ever had boys, so they're a little bit more comfortable with a little boy. And in those instances, we will pair a female mentor with a male child.
Is it always one-on-one? What if there are siblings and they each would like a big? Do they go together, or do they each get their own?
They each get their own.
Wow.
We have one family that has 5 kids in the program, and every one of them has their own mentor, and they love that.
Yeah.
Because, having 5 kids in the family, they don't get a lot of one-on-one time with mom and dad at all. So whenever they get to go out and be with their big, it's for them and them only, and they look forward to it so much. We also do couples matching. If there's a husband and wife or siblings or somebody that would like to mentor one child together, you can do that as well.
Oh, that would be fun.
Yeah.
Very fun. Now, is there a good age to be a mentor, to be a big? Some people might think, wow, if I were a little younger and could speak their language, that might be cool. I'm a grandparent. Are they going to think I'm just an old fogey? What? Let's dispel those myths as well.
Well, we have a lot of mentors that are grandparents, and their littles love them. Honestly, we do not have an upper age limit, and I would say you are not too old to be a mentor. I mean, even if you're not able to go and play basketball with them, there are a lot of other activities that you could do that wouldn't strain your body, and they're looking for that interaction and one-on-one time. It doesn't have to be anything physical. So I would encourage any grandparent to come in and mentor.
A lot of grandparents have their grandchildren living out of state, and you're kind of just missing being around young people.
Right.
So it's a nice way to spend your time as well, and to invest your time. You mentioned some kits that you had provided to some of the families and some of these kids while they're being isolated. What kinds of things were in those kits, and do you need donations of any kind?
We are always looking for donations of any kind. If you guys, if anybody is willing to give hygiene products or school supplies or things to that nature. What we had been taking to the families were snacks, and we took hygiene products, hand sanitizers, masks, school supplies, little fun activities to keep them busy while they were at home. We left little notes in each one of them saying we're thinking of them. We gave them resource lists of everything available that was in the community. And then before we went and took those to the homes, we called each of the families and asked them if there was anything specific that they needed. And there were a lot of families that needed different things as far as, maybe it was detergents or additional foods that they didn't have.
Yeah.
We had other people that needed other cleaning products, and some kids that were out of specific school supplies that they needed. So we had a lot of different requests that we went and picked up stuff anytime anybody asked and took it out to them. So yes, absolutely, we're looking for donations, products to that nature, or even if if you wanted to donate funds that then we could use so that when we got those requests, we could utilize those funds to go pick up the products that these families are needing.
Nice. Is there any way that the schools work with you, or is there a way that they can work with you? Because you bring up an interesting point. When children are on their own in their homes, sometimes that's not an environment with a lot of supplies. And they wouldn't have the supplies that they have at school to be able to do some of the assignments that they are needing to be able to do from home. So how do you make that connect?
We have very good partnerships with our school programs and the administrators and the different teachers that work in each of those districts. So we have definitely kept in contact with them where they've seen some needs and we've seen some needs. We have just communicated with each other and kept each other in the know-how for, what was going on with the families so that we could best support them together. So yes, we absolutely have a great relationship with our schools.
Oh, that's awesome. What are we looking at in the fall? Do you know yet? What do you think?
I am anxiously awaiting that information to come out. I did notice a couple of local school districts that have released their plans, and they are planning to go back in person at least 4 days a week. So we were very excited about that. Now, from the time that this pandemic started, we started planning what are we going to do for the fall.
Yeah.
So we have been working with other Big Brothers Big Sisters organizations across the state and developed subcommittees to make sure that we could tackle this problem and figure out how we're going to run in the fall. So we've developed in-person models that we could utilize. We've developed virtual models that we can utilize. And then, of course, a hybrid model, because even if they start going back in person, that doesn't mean that it's going to continue that way. And we definitely don't want to be blindsided like we were in March, and we want to have a plan in place before that happens so that we can keep these kids connected to the best of our ability.
Bottom line, we need some bigs. We need to find people for these 26 kids who are on a waiting list right now. And if you're a shy person, there's no time like the present, because in our current situation, you can just be a pen pal with someone.
Absolutely. And, it's funny because sometimes we do have a shy big that will come in through the program, and with any relationship at first, you're a little bit shy whenever you're meeting somebody and getting to know them.
Right.
But they open up so quickly, and a lot of times it's the kids that make them open up because most kids, they're talking all the time and they're asking a lot of questions. And it's a lot of fun to see those more shy bigs open up and develop these relationships with the kids.
Well, this is a good time to just kind of stick your toe in the water and give this a try. We have children that would just appreciate you so much for your time. As you said, Beverly, it's not that you spend a lot of money on them or you don't have to take them to Disney World. This is just to be able to sit on a porch 6 feet apart and chat and
Absolutely.
Just let a child let you know where they are. And I would think with what they've been through, they've got a lot bottled up inside that they need to get out either in conversation or through artwork or something to be able to go through the process and to be able to process this of someday they'll tell their grandchildren that I was a kid during that global pandemic, and let me just tell you what that was like. But we need to help them. We need to help them continue to grow and develop and be all that God made them to be. So please give them a call, 330-339-6916, or go to bigs4kids, and that's a numeral 4.com. Beverly Perch, thank you so much for all you do in our community.
Thank you, Susie. I really appreciate you helping us get the word out.